Would you believe Paralives the Life Sim is technically just a mod? I have no idea what that even means. I'm definitely not a modder, and when the devs talk about linking animations to actions, it makes zero sense to me. But here's what I do know. Paralives Studio is building the mod tools at the same time as the gameplay. This lets the artist drop assets directly into the game using the same in-game modding tools players will have access to. The team does a surprisingly great job of explaining this complex system to a bird brain like me, so it'll all click when we reach that part of the timeline. What I love most about this idea is how it shows that every part of Paralives was built with you in mind, from the tiniest animation to the most consequential gameplay feature, and it all leads us into the story of how live mode came to life. The first 2 years of Paralives development focused on build mode and the early beginnings of the Parafolk. In 2022, one of the first big steps in live mode development was locomotion and emotion animations. The team worked to make walking and running feel natural while designing emotions that were realistic enough to be grounded but expressive enough to be satisfying and readable for players. By late 2022, the skill system came into play, giving Parafolk actions to learn, from guitar and piano to working out and more. Skills were designed with clear goals. They should feel rewarding, impactful, and meaningful across different aspects of gameplay, from careers to relationships. 2023 brought in a revolutionized needs and want system. Now displayed as a pair's thoughts, it deepens personal connections by letting you almost read their mind, gauging the urgency of their needs and uncovering the small objectives they wish to fulfill. And of course, keeping a life sim classic alive, Paralives Studio introduced Fire, complete with realistic para reactions. Parafolk might panic or flee, and if not handled quickly, a fire could spread, leading to dire game-ending consequences. These are just a few of the core live mode features revealed so far. Alongside them, countless smaller additions like animations, interactions, and the beginnings of a unique relationship system laid the foundation for what live mode will become. In the first part of this series, we followed the evolution of the Parafolk from rough prototypes to fully realized characters. Now in this video, we'll explore the development timeline of live mode, the journey of how Parafolk became truly playable. We'll see how the team built core gameplay to feel both meaningful and rewarding while balancing realism with expressive charm. And most importantly, how from the very beginning, the developers kept the community at the heart of every decision. The story of live mode technically starts in 2019, even if the public had no idea most of it was happening behind the scenes. While everyone was hyping up build mode and the Parafolk, the team was quietly getting the gears turning on what would become the heart of gameplay, a period of experimentation that would lay the foundation for live mode where every action, emotion, and choice would matter. The first hints of live mode came from a Patreon poll where patrons got to vote on the name of the in-game currency. A fitting choice, a clever play on the game's title, won with over 55% of the votes. Paradigms became the official currency, setting the stage for future gameplay involving money. While we didn't see much of it in action right away, Paradigms would eventually make a fun and meaningful return in the game. Before we get into the gameplay, it's important to step back and meet the visionaries behind it all. In April 2020, the team opened up about their personal journeys and the passion driving Paralives. Alex, Roxanne, and Leah each shared their stories, revealing how their childhood experiences and love for simulation games shaped the game's vision. Alex's early fascination with building and programming led him to pursue a career in game development. His dream was to create a life simulation game that allowed for deep creativity and personal expression. Roxanne's journey began with Lego creator Harry Potter and evolved through The Sims, fueling her desire to build immersive worlds and characters. Leah, inspired by playing the Sim series, Roller Coaster Tycoon, and Zoo Tycoon as a child, wanted to create a game where players could craft their own stories with rich worlds and dynamic characters. Together, they envisioned a game that wasn't just about gameplay mechanics, but about creating a platform for storytelling and creativity. Their shared goal was to design a game that felt personal, expressive, and deeply connected to the community. This foundational post highlighted the team's commitment to building a game fueled by passion and creativity, a vision they carried forward by continuing to recruit team members who shared similar inspirations and love for life simulation games. Each new edition brought unique skills, helping shape Paralives into the richly detailed and player-focused world it is today. As Paralives continued to grow, the team welcomed a new member in June 2020, Anna joining as a programmer and bringing the total dev team to 4. Alex and Anna were already familiar from previous game jams, intense 48-hour competitions where you have to create a game from scratch. A programmer is crucial because they translate game designs into playable software like Unity by writing the code that turns ideas into reality. In simple terms, this was an important first step, but there was still a long journey ahead to make Paralives fully playable. Anna was most excited to work on the personality system and the world environment, two key areas that would shape gameplay. During their introduction, they also shared their personal experience with video games, showing that, like the rest of the team, they had a strong interest in life simulation and creative games. In July 2020, Alice joined the Paralives team as a 3D animator, bringing her expertise to character animations. Like the rest of the team, she shared her personal passion for video games, having grown up playing titles such as The Sims, Stardew Valley, Night in the Woods, Planet Zoo, and Broken Age. This consistency in hiring developers who are passionate about games has clearly influenced the project. The post also teased the first male para and their backstory, which we now know would become Sebastian and Eli. Ever wondered what a week in the life of a Paralives developer looks like? To truly understand the development of live mode, it's helpful to see what a typical week at Paralives Studio can look like. This specific recap might vary depending on what the team is working on, and the process has likely evolved over the years, but even a glimpse like this gives a better understanding of how live mode features are implemented. Monday is all about animation planning and testing, where the earliest drafts of character movements are developed and refined. Using Unity, the team works on the animation system while Alice animates the 3D models of the Parafolk in Blender. Even a simple animation like eating a burger is surprisingly complex. The team follows the iterative process. Each step is coded and animated individually: walking, interacting with the chair, sitting, picking up the food, eating, returning to idle, plus subtle variations to make it look natural. At this stage, the animations are only drafts, making it easier to tweak and redo them once gameplay features are integrated. This careful approach ensures every action feels seamless and keeps player immersion intact. On Tuesday, the focus shifts to planning. Sprint meetings outline what the team will tackle over the next 2 weeks. This keeps everyone aware of the game's current state and ensures tasks are organized by priority. Brainstorming sessions follow, where high-level experimental ideas are discussed. These are rough concepts that need testing to see if they're fun to play. Because these ideas are still in development, features discussed with the community at this stage aren't guaranteed to make the final game. Wednesday introduces procedural animations, movements generated in real time rather than pre-recorded. The system enables dynamic interactions like ragdoll physics, hair simulation, and in this case, sitting on chairs of different heights. Paralives was designed from the start for customization, furniture of various sizes, extensive mod support, the ability to sit anywhere, and a height slider. Testing all these options is challenging. The team carefully works through issues like clipping and awkward transitions to ensure smooth, natural animations that support the customizable world. Thursday continues procedural animation testing, now with a social interaction, two Parafolk attempting a high five. drive. Pre-made animations often fail, resulting in awkward misses. Procedural targets let the team create a rough draft, ensuring the base motion works before later refining it with natural nuances and personality. That kind of flexible system design is exactly why the team describes Paralives as feeling like a mod itself. Rather than coding every interaction in a rigid way, they're building a framework where new actions, objects, and behaviors can be slotted in without breaking the game. This is what I was referring to earlier about Paralives being a game that's a mod at its core, and it leads directly into one of the most exciting parts of development, the modding tools, a core part of Paralives' community-driven design. Artists and eventually players can attach animations to in-game actions. As the developers explain, add interactions to objects or characters, link them each to a list of animations, tell which actions can be combined, eating plus sitting equals yes, swimming plus eating equals no, tell the order in which they should be played, and the props they're using. These tools don't require coding knowledge, making it easier for the team to revisit or create new animations while keeping it user-friendly for players. Fridays are reserved for the community. The team hosts a 1-hour Q&A on Discord for higher tier patrons, with highlights shared publicly. Fans get an inside look at the development process and hear about upcoming features, challenges, and design decisions in real time. The Q&A covers topics from animation techniques to gameplay systems. Eventually, the Q&As are posted publicly, which you might recognize as dev chats. Alice shared a sneak peek at the in-game progress, locomotion, and emotion animations, giving a first look at how Parafolk will move and react in-game. The team keeps a few core goals in mind. The animations need to look good, feel realistic, and stay generic enough to work for every para. I think this is so smart because a run animation that feels perfect on Maggie might read as too feminine on Marvin, so it needs careful tweaking to fit any character. They also tease the possibility of customizable walk styles influenced by emotion, needs, or personality traits, which should add subtle personality to each para. Locomotion animations include walking, jogging, and running, showing how a para travels from point A to B. And because players will see these constantly, the team wasn't afraid to scrap and redo animations until they felt right, even reworking the walking animation to balance natural movement with practical speed so Parafolk won't take forever to cross the world. Emotion animations cover key human emotions like surprise, sadness, and stress, appearing during reactions, events, or conversations. They're grounded in realism but slightly exaggerated so the emotions are instantly readable, like a para shaking with fear being more noticeable than in real life. Facial animations take over temporarily when a para has a big mood shift, unless an action already requires a specific expression. Other cues like interface indicators and sound effects reinforce their emotional state. Altogether, it's such a careful balance, expressive enough that you immediately get what a para is feeling, yet natural enough that it never feels over the top. From what I've seen, this is exactly the kind of animation work that will make Paralives feel personal but engaging. Privacy might seem boring in a life sim, but Paralives makes it charming. They experimented with sensor effects for Parafolk when showering, using the toilet, and sleeping naked. And yes, some Parafolk actually prefer to sleep in the nude, which adds an interesting habit, exactly the kind of detail I'd add in my own game to make my sims feel like real, unique characters. The current sensor effect being tested is the classic pixelated mosaic. It's simple, clean, and versatile enough to work in most scenarios, but the team also explored other visual styles using the in-game modding tool. This post gave us a glimpse into how the developers experiment with features directly in the modding interface, and it also hints that even if a player doesn't like the default sensor effect, there might be ways to customize it themselves. The post also included in-progress toilet animations, including a bug showcase where a para gets unfortunately contorted while flushing. Definitely a painful moment to watch. Photo mode was also mentioned, with testing of different censoring effects on scenes, showing off the kinds of customizations players will be able to make, confirming that we'll have control over these details when getting screenshots. Paralives has some really clever features built into the interaction menu that make managing your Parafolk a lot easier. Searching was originally just a concept, but it's now part of the interaction menu, letting players find specific interactions without scrolling through every submenu, which is especially handy for objects with tons of options like computers, and ensures you don't forget where a particular action is. Then there's pinning or creating favorites. This lets you set up shortcuts for actions you use often. For example, sleeping is common on beds. Once you pin that action in the interaction menu, you can just right-click the bed to add it to the interaction queue. No extra clicks needed. Only one action can be pinned per object, which makes sense given how the system works. The interaction menu also doubles as a mini build mode. You can move, rotate, duplicate, recolor, or delete objects right in live mode without entering build mode. And more options like duplicating or changing textures are planned. I love this. It's a smart convenience for small tweaks and also caters to the lazy gamer in all of us. Now, you won't be able to do everything with Parafolk. You can't move or delete a character, for example, but instead, these interactions could be replaced with quick access to a pair's personality profile, skills, relationships, or even outfits. It's like a fast-track way to check stats or make small edits without navigating the full UI. In the Maggie Summer post, the devs introduced a few new casual interactions to capture those small, everyday moments. Using Maggie as the example, they showed her sitting against a tree, lying in the grass, and even stopping to smell the flowers, all meant to highlight how Parafolk can interact with their environment in subtle but meaningful ways. At first, I didn't think much of these interactions, but then I thought about how I actually play life sims. When I've been with a household for a long time and I'm really invested in their story, I almost always end up gravitating towards these quieter, inconsequential moments. They're the little details that create a sense of realism for me and give me space to appreciate the quiet, ordinary moments of gameplay. That's why I love seeing Paralives add interactions like this. They may be simple, but they add so much personality and immersion, and I know I'll use them constantly in my long, relaxed gameplay sessions. Now, this next stretch of the timeline is where things really start to change. Up until now, a lot of Paralives updates had been about visuals, animation, and just showing us the potential of the game. But between 2022 and 2023, the focus shifted. The team started laying down the core systems that would actually make live mode feel playable. If you were worried Paralives might end up just as pretty animations with no real depth, this is the point where those fears started to fade. We're talking about needs, relationships, and the little day-to-day systems that actually drive gameplay. In other words, this is where we stop looking at what Paralives could be and start seeing the foundation of what it is going to be. Skills are anything your Parafolk can learn and master. Cooking, painting, working out, music, and more. The team set clear goals for how skills should work in Paralives to make gameplay feel consistent, satisfying, and rewarding. Advancing in a skill should give a genuine sense of growth, giving players the satisfaction and motivation of leveling up, and they should make you feel powerful as your Parafolk become more capable and are rewarded for their efforts. Skills also interact with other parts of the game. Careers, relationships, and hobbies are all impacted by your Parafolk's skill level. The team emphasized the importance of experimentation, noting they want to try different ideas to see which ones are going to make the skills aspect of the game really fun to play with. This ensures skills are not just a completion goal, but have tangible effects across gameplay. There's even a visual layer to skills. Actions change depending on skill level. Sebastian doing push-ups struggles more visibly at lower levels, but moves with better form and ease at higher levels. At higher levels, multitasking may also become possible when it makes sense, an idea that interestingly grew out of a bug the team discovered. Pathfinding in Paralives is all about how Parafolk find their way from point A to point B. To showcase this system, the team set up a hedge maze and gave us a peek at how characters navigate tricky environments. Watching the video, you can see the walk and run animations. They feel really clean and natural. The Parafolk clearly understand which areas are walkable, and when running, they seem to pick the fastest path to their destination. At this stage, turning animations were still a work in progress, which explains a few rough spots when they change direction. It's interesting to see how much thought goes into something that might seem mundane at first. The developers are not just animating movement, they're making sure the Parafolk intelligently navigate complex spaces. I'm curious to see how they handle situations where multiple paths are available. That's the kind of detail I'd love to experiment with in a full game session, knowing the work that went into building it. Looking back, it's cool to compare where pathfinding and walking animations were at this point versus where they are now. It really shows the iterative process behind making the game feel seamless and realistic, even in something as simple as walking through a maze. The post showcased a variety of character animations, expressing needs and emotions, whether reacting to a pair's own needs, responding to a conversation, or reacting to an event. All of these animations aim for a balance between realism and readability, hitting that sweet spot where natural movements meets expressive charm. At this point in development, the team had completed 172 character animations animations, excluding babies and toddlers, and shared a blurred list to hint at the scope of work without revealing gameplay secrets. Looking ahead, the developers detailed their next steps for animations in live mode. This includes actions where a para interacts with items like eating, mixing ingredients, or talking on the phone, as well as animations involving physical interactions with other parafolk, such as hugging, kissing, dancing together, or holding a baby. At this point, only a handful of physical contact animations were in the game. The team explained that these scenarios need careful planning, things like where the characters meet in the world, what happens if one para is already busy, and even how parafolk of different heights line up together. To handle these situations more smoothly, they leaned on procedural animation systems whenever possible. They also mentioned improving multitasking support for animations and interactions, which, while not detailed, suggests work is underway to allow parafolk to perform multiple actions simultaneously. Once the base animation systems are established, the team expects to accelerate production, enabling more animations to be created efficiently. Knowing a bit more about Paralives' modding capabilities, it's interesting to view these showcases almost like animation packs. Modders could look at what animations are available and start imagining how to expand or modify them. Even though I don't personally know how to mod, it's easy to see the potential here, and these early access animation videos could remain useful reference points long after release. The Paralives team decided to step into the game themselves, running an internal playtest to see exactly what it's like from a player's perspective. Each team member played for a couple of hours, exploring the world and interacting with the systems and gameplay features they've implemented so far. The goal of this playtest was to gather impressions on the current state of the game and identify improvements or tweaks for existing features. By approaching the game as players, the team was able to spot small issues and refine interactions that might not be obvious during development. After the session, they compiled 12 full pages of feedback, mostly consisting of minor adjustments. In the Patreon post, they shared a blurred view of these pages and highlighted which suggestions had already been addressed. Instead of testing new features in isolation, they stepped back to see how all the elements work together as one cohesive game. This approach ensures the final experience feels polished. Reading about the care and attention they put into playtesting, it's easy to imagine how meaningful it must be for the team to see their work come together. And honestly, I'd probably get a little emotional too. I'm honestly so excited about this post because a huge part of what I love in video games comes down to little details like mirrors, interior design, and of course, food. I could spend hours experimenting with dishes and seeing all the interesting meals you can make in a game like Paralives. As a huge foodie, I genuinely get excited imagining my parafolk tasting these dishes. I know for a fact in every household I make, there has to be a chef or at least a para who's highly skilled in the kitchen. A requirement in all of my life sims, to be honest. When creating the food, the developers had two main goals. First, it needed to look appetizing, and second, it had to be easily readable, even with the limited resolution available for crafting food. They absolutely nailed both. The post highlighted dishes like Japanese curry, ramen, spaghetti, club sandwiches, a bowl of fruit, and cake with fizzy drink. Even though the textures are at a lower resolution, each is clearly recognizable and visually appealing. Some of the details were surprisingly tricky. The rice in the Japanese curry, for instance, was to remain readable from a distance so it wouldn't just look like a white ball. The club sandwich posed a different challenge, making a triangle sandwich look interesting. By choosing to make it imperfect and thick, they made it feel realistic and appealing at the same time. Paralives approaches needs in a way that's both personal and intuitive. Instead of a traditional list of bars, a para's needs are displayed as thoughts, and only the needs that require attention appear in the current thoughts list. Needs that have been met or aren't a concern at the moment simply don't show up, keeping the interface clean and easy to read. The developers recognize that without visual cues, it could be difficult for the player to know which needs require attention and when. To solve this, they added variants to both the text and the thought bubble, reflecting the urgency of each need. The bathroom need changes depending on its severity. If not urgent, it doesn't appear at all. When moderately critical, a white thought bubble pops up saying, "I'll need to use the bathroom soon," hinting you have time. When more pressing, a slightly larger white bubble reads, "I need to use the bathroom," showing increased urgency, and at critical levels, a red animated bubble shouts, "Bathroom now," signaling the para is close to a need failure. The developers shared what they appreciate about displaying needs and wants as thought bubbles. Flexibility flexibility, more than the typical 5 or 6 needs can be displayed, allowing traits or personalities to add unique needs tailored to the individual Parafolk. Simplicity. Needs, wants, and emotions are all consolidated into one interface section, avoiding clutter and making it easy to glance at everything at once. Personal connection. Players can literally read the minds of their Parafolk, deciding how to respond to their needs and wants in a more meaningful and player-driven way. For me, this approach is perfect. Not only does it streamline gameplay and reduce micromanagement, but it also gives a sense of timing and choice. I can decide whether a need must be addressed immediately or if I have a little leeway. Out of sight truly becomes out of mind until the para needs attention, with clear visual cues guiding the player. Wants function in a similar way, appearing in the small thought list as needs. These are small objectives your character wishes to fulfill, and the game may indicate the urgency here as well. For example, a large red thought bubble saying "I want to see Carl as soon as possible" could show the para's strong desire or obsession. This mechanic has me really excited. It adds depth to both gameplay and character development. Personally, I love wants-based gameplay, focusing on fulfilling my Parafolk's small objectives and seeing how their goals shape their day-to-day life. I know there's many of us who enjoy that same style, and this system seems like it's built to cater to that kind of play as well. Paralives will include an autonomy system that lets your Parafolk make certain decisions on their own. When autonomy is turned on, your characters can perform interactions without player input, though of course you can turn it off if you prefer full control. Some of the autonomous actions your Parafolk might choose include going to work, using the toilet if a need becomes critical, or finding something to occupy their time, like reading a book or watching TV. The system is designed to let Parafolk act naturally based on their needs and available options, adding a layer of realism and unpredictability to their daily routines. The team also designed death as a part of this autonomy system. Certain extreme situations, like a para starving due to lack of available food, trigger an autonomous death that the player cannot cancel. In the post, they showed 2 test cases. Kim, who has access to a fridge, autonomously eats when hungry, while Roger, locked in a room with no fridge, continues to starve until the system triggers death. The first iteration of autonomy already adds interesting depth to gameplay, and knowing the team, they'll likely continue expanding it in creative ways. It's exciting to imagine how these systems could evolve, letting Parafolk act independently while still surprising the player in realistic ways. Relationships aren't tracked by a single progress bar. Instead, they're defined by labels that can be unlocked and upgraded as your Parafolk interact over time. Clicking on a para in your connections list brings up a side menu showing the different labels your character has with that specific para, along with their current levels. The team is still figuring out a way to make it easy to see relationship progress at a glance, but for now, the system already gives a lot of detail about how characters connect. The reason behind using labels is to create unique relationships and give players more reasons to build connections between Parafolk. There are several categories of labels, including family, mother, father, sister, cousin, and more, friendship, friend, confidant, cooking buddy, party partner, romance, love interest, secret crush, lovers, married, professional, boss, coworker, business partner, and enemies, rival, bad neighbor, and mean ex. I can already imagine some interesting combinations in my own game, like imagine 2 Parafolk who are rivals but secretly have a crush on each other. Call me toxic, but having 2 characters who hate but secretly love each other is going to be an overused trope in my game. At higher levels, 2 Parafolk with strong labels can unlock combo labels, which provide stronger gameplay effects and bonuses. Examples include friend plus confidant equals close friend, coworker plus creative buddy equals productive duo, close friend plus lover equals life partner, or even friend plus mom equals best friend mom. The combo labels show the history and depth of relationships and give your world a sense of continuity and character development. Labels also directly impact gameplay. One-sided labels let characters feel one way about another without it being mutual, while certain combinations can provide bonuses like faster cooking or more skill experience when paired with a cooking buddy. Characters can also follow unique story paths, enemies, rebel teens, or nosy neighbors without feeling like you're failing. Label levels make relationship progress satisfying over time, unlocking new interactions, affecting careers in school, and shaping unique story opportunities. Any household that owns a lot in Paralives will have to pay bills every 7 days. The bill interface displays the total amount. It also includes a breakdown showing what contributed to the bill total, things like lot taxes, electricity, and water. On top of that, there's a button to quickly settle the bill right from the interface. They're also considering showing a graph of how bills change over time. The team included bills in Paralives to add a layer of challenge, encouraging players to find ways to earn income. Objects that require power affect how much bills cost, giving players choices in how they manage their households. One current method of reducing bills is investing in objects that generate electricity, like solar panels or wind turbines. If you produce a surplus, you might even sell the excess energy to the city. It's a fun way to make money or to imagine running a small production company. The developers are continuing to test ideas that add more gameplay depth. One concept under consideration is giving a small allowance per child to help with necessities, which could be tied to household income. Other ideas include providing a small sum if none of your parafolk have jobs, paying more taxes to fund town festivals, living on off-the-grid lots that don't consume electricity or water, and events like power outages during storms. I actually really appreciate that Paralives includes challenges like bills and resource management. For me, having something to work toward or manage is part of what keeps a game engaging. It's not stress in a bad way, it's more like motivation. Most of the time, it ends up being part of the fun. I personally wouldn't enjoy a game that removed all challenge or incentives entirely. It would feel a bit flat. That's why I'm glad the Paralives team didn't go in that direction. A little bit of in-game stress, like keeping track of bills, energy, and resources, just makes the gameplay feel meaningful without ever being overwhelming. It's a nice reminder that in a well-designed life sim, challenges can actually enhance the experience rather than take away from it. I'm still completely hyped about food in Paralives. I might even have done a little overexcited dance when I realized this was the next topic to cover. The food showcase highlights not only the meals themselves, also the careful selection process behind the dishes that make it into the game. The team wanted a wide variety of meals without slowing down production, which was especially important since there were only 2 artists handling food alongside other assets like furniture and characters. To balance variety with efficiency, they set a few key objectives: offer different meals for each time of day, cater to a range of cooking skill levels from beginner to pro, include cultural variety where possible, and consider dietary preferences or restrictions. To make production manageable, similar dishes share 3D objects and textures, with small distinctions added in the final touches. The showcase gives some great examples of this approach. Soups are made different mainly by broth color, while pies use the same base design and cuts but are distinguished by filling. Sweet pies even get powdered sugar as a quick visual cue. Toast follow a similar strategy, and the addition of an English breakfast shows their attention to cultural variety. These small touches, like the filling peeking through a pie cut, making the food readable, appetizing, and visually satisfying, even at a lower resolution. The Paralives team gave us a closer look at the piano skill, showing how Parafolk can learn and get better over time. The process was broken down into clear steps, and it's pretty cool to see how much thought goes into making this feel realistic and fun. First, they built the piano itself. They made sure it had the right number of keys, accurate proportions, realistic height, and even included details like pedals and the soundboard. Next, they recorded reference videos of real piano performances at different skill levels to make the animations feel authentic. They created 3 versions: low, medium, and high skill, which was tricky because all of the fast finger movements. More variations will be added later, but even these 3 already show clear progression as your para improves. For music, Parafolk can play a bunch of different pieces, including classics like Beethoven and Debussy. The animations don't perfectly match every note, and that's completely intentional. The team realized that trying to sync each finger movement with every individual note would take an enormous amount of effort, especially for an indie life sim, and might not even add meaningful value for the player. Instead, they focused on keeping the animations at the same tempo as the music. This way, the performance feels natural and satisfying without needing pixel-perfect precision, striking a balance between realism and practicality. It's a smart compromise that lets your Parafolk convincingly play a wide variety of pieces while keeping development manageable. And the piano skill isn't just about solo playing. The team plans to add at least 1 more instrument at release, and Parafolks will eventually be able to perform together, start bands, play at venues, sing while playing, or even try composing their own music. There's even a hint that custom tracks might be possible later, which is a really fun creative option. Paralives is all about togetherness, and the team wanted to make it easy for your Parafolk to do almost anything as a group. Whether it's preparing a meal or performing an activity together, the game makes group interaction simple and intuitive. For Parafolk in the same household, you can select multiple characters by dragging across them or by shift-clicking their icons in the interface. White circles appear under each character to show who's currently in the group, though this visual might change. Once your group is selected, clicking on an object will have all the Parafolk perform that interaction together. The system works almost the same way for Parafolk outside of the played household. One difference is that Parafolk outside your household can refuse an action if they need to take care of their own needs, which keeps the simulation feeling natural and believable. The goal is for every interaction in the game to be doable as a group. While there may be few cases where a group action isn't possible, the team hasn't found many so far. That's encouraging, especially for players like me who rely heavily on group interactions. Knowing the system is planned for Paralives is a big relief. Personalities are designed to make each para feel unique and truly human. The way you build and evolve a para's personality can completely change how your game session plays out, giving every character a sense of individuality that carries into their actions, interactions, and decisions. At the core of personality are stats, which act like a personality point system. These determine how strong or weak your para is in different areas. Physique covers physical strength, agility, and general health. Mind reflects problem solving, logic, and mathematics. Creativity measures their ability to make and innovate, and charisma governs communication skills, leadership, and social influence. Every stat starts with 1 point by default, and you get 3 extra points to assign where you see fit. I think of it like a scale. Below the line is average, above the line is above average, and 2 points above the line is exceptional. If you assign 0 points to a stat, your para will struggle in that area, which creates gameplay challenges but also opportunities for unique stories, which in my mind I would call a disadvantage. I'll speak for all of us in saying something we love and would love to have more of. Beyond stats, Parafolk have vibes, the impressions they give to other Parafolk. These can affect gameplay in subtle ways. Some are grumpy, overjoyed, gloomy, energetic, serious, anxious, jester, and peaceful. More vibes are planned, and each can influence how your para interacts with the world, giving them unique quirks and personality that feel alive. There are also social perks, which help a para excel in specific social situations. While these are purely positive traits, negative aspects of personality aren't absent. They show up through stats and vibes, so you can shape both strengths and weaknesses to create a truly dynamic character. Examples of social perks include good at being alone, making friends, caring for others, navigating romantic relationships, or connecting with family. Talents tie directly into skills, granting perks that let your para progress more efficiently in areas like music, fitness, science, technology, food, visual arts, or even a more general talent like jack of all trades or good at nothing. These give each para a sense of specialization or limitation depending on what you choose. I actually didn't know talents were confirmed until I did research for this video. Hopefully in the future, the team could consider making talents hidden and discoverable, giving players the thrill of uncovering them as their Parafolk grow. More discovery gameplay in general would be something really cool to see during or after early access. Another layer is lifestyles, which guide how your para behaves autonomously. These simpler traits affect everyday actions without direct input from the player. For example, you can set dietary habits like being vegetarian, sleeping patterns such as early bird or night owl, and cleaning tendencies like sloppy, neat, or standard. This is one of my favorite parts. Seeing how a para acts on their own, shaped by personality, brings a deeper level of immersion to gameplay. Personalities aren't static. Parafolk level up their personality over time, gaining experience as they live, work, and interact. This is displayed as a bar with a level indicator, and leveling up lets you choose upgrades that enhance your para's traits, granting powerful perks that influence daily life. This evolution means personalities grow alongside gameplay, making each session feel fresh and giving your characters a sense of progression beyond just skills or stats. Remember earlier when I talked about togetherness? That system where you can group up your Parafolk and have them do group activities? Well, it's not just about convenience. That same idea also shapes how relationships develop, letting bonds grow naturally just by spending time together. The team designed a system where 2 or more Parafolk can spend time together as a group, and their relationships slowly evolve as they interact. The way it works is quite simple but smart. You can select multiple Parafolk using the group selection system, and once they're grouped, any interaction you choose, whether it's sitting down for a meal or doing an activity, will be carried out together. Instead of characters drifting apart or stopping after one action, they'll stick together and keep going as a group. This cuts down on the micromanagement of constantly queuing up individual actions, making group gameplay feel smooth and natural. A key part of this is the together bar. Whenever your Parafolk are interacting as a group, this bar fills up over the course of one in-game hour. Once it's full, you'll get the option to select one of the 3 together cards. Each card can shift the tone of the interaction and push relationships forward in different ways. For example, making the group feel more playful, deepening emotional bonds, or keeping things casual. It's a mechanic that combines combines player choice with natural progression, giving you some control over how the interaction develops without breaking the flow. The developers highlight this as one of their favorite mechanics. It keeps relationships evolving in an organic way while still leaving room for player input. Instead of juggling multiple one-on-one interactions, you can nurture group dynamics all at once, opening up space for more emerging gameplay and unique stories to play out. Jobs and careers in Paralives have been designed to feel flexible, rewarding, and connected to your para's unique personality. The basics are simple. Parafolks can find jobs either by browsing ads online or checking postings outside of workplaces in town. Once hired, every workday brings opportunities to grow, unlock perks, and even branch into different career paths. One of the most interesting parts of the system is job upgrades. At the end of a shift, your para might be offered one of 3 upgrade options. A rank upgrade boosts salary directly. An expertise upgrade also increases your salary, but the real benefit is that it also builds specialized knowledge in that field. That expertise isn't lost if you change careers. It transfers over and can give your para an advantage when applying for new jobs, especially if the new role is related. Then there's extras, perks unrelated to money, like socializing more easily at work or gaining small skill boosts if your job tasks overlap with hobbies such as gardening. These perks can even tie back into personality. For example, a para with higher mind stats might get amplified benefits in a career that require logic or problem solving. It's a smart way to make each character's career feel personal rather than just another grind for income. Careers are also non-linear, which I find really refreshing. Progression isn't locked into a strict ladder. Being a nurse doesn't automatically mean becoming a doctor. Instead, careers branch in different directions, and you can change paths entirely by applying for new jobs. To qualify for certain roles, your para might need specific expertise, skills, or even connections with coworkers, which adds another layer of depth to how you approach their career choices. Another standout feature is the flexibility of juggling multiple jobs. As long as their schedules don't overlap, your para can hold more than one position at a time. Students can also take part-time jobs, which opens up unique playstyles like balancing work with school or combining a creative passion with a steady paycheck. It's a system that mirrors real life without boxing you in one career destiny. Now, it's worth noting that for now, jobs are rabbit holes, meaning when your para goes to work, you won't actively control them during their shift. The developers explain this decision is to avoid stretching resources too thin or making careers repetitive. Instead, the focus is on the choices, perks, and progression that happen around the job itself. Personally, I really like where this is headed. The extras make careers feel more layered, the expertise system makes switching jobs rewarding instead of punishing, and the freedom to juggle multiple roles lets you craft unique life stories. I'm also curious to see how job ads will appear around town. It feels like one of those small world details that can make the environment feel even more alive. The guitar is officially the second instrument coming to Paralives at launch. The team chose guitar for its popularity, how naturally it complements the piano, making the two feel like a solid starting lineup for the game's music system. The creation process followed a similar pipeline as the piano. Chloe modeled the acoustic guitar and its stand, while Alice studied tons of reference videos of real guitarists to nail down realistic playing movements. Just like with the piano, animations are tied to skill progression. Your para will look stiff and awkward at lower levels, improve with practice, and eventually reach a smooth, confident, high-skill performance. A nice extra detail is that animations also adapt to height, so kids or shorter paras hold the guitar differently, which makes the whole thing feel more natural. On the music side, the guitar skill has a mix of tracks. Some are public domain songs re-recorded by Andre, like Greensleeves. Others are original compositions created just for the game. For the advanced level songs, Andre even teamed up with professional guitarist Remy Cote to give them a polished, authentic sound. Gameplay around the guitar is pretty straightforward but clever. The practice interaction makes your para play random tracks that fit their current skill level, which works great for casual play and steady progression. Meanwhile, the play song interaction lets you pick a specific track so players can showcase their favorites. The system was designed with modding in mind, meaning it'll be fairly easy for players to add custom tracks. Looking ahead, the team has a few improvements in mind, expanding beyond the acoustic with electric or classical guitars, adding more animations so performances feel less repetitive, and offering more musical styles to diversify what your paras can play. And of course, all the ideas hinted at in the piano post, things like forming bands, performing together, or even composing music, can also extend to guitar down the road. 2024 marks a turning point for Paralives. The team went back to basics, but this time with a solid foundation under every system. Instead of rushing new features, the focus shifted to completing and refining what was already in the game, ensuring that early access launches on a stable, polished base. From babies and toddlers to animation, autonomy, and personality growth, every system was tested. Pathfinding, sitting animations, and social interactions, every interaction from cooking to climbing stairs to expressing emotions, was designed to feel seamless. In other words, it's a return to basics, but with the confidence that these fundamentals are solid enough to support more complex gameplay. This section shows how Paralives grows from a set of ideas into a living, breathing world, one system, one animation, and one carefully completed feature at a time. This update was basically a buffet, easily the biggest variety of food we've seen so far, starting with pizzas, ham and cheese, fort cheese, ham and pineapple, and of course pepperoni. They even add frozen versions like cheese, ham and cheese, and pepperoni, so your Parafolk can officially survive on frozen pizza at some point in life. Sandwiches and bagels are in too. You've got vegetarian clubs, ham and cheese triangles, egg triangles, and Montreal-style bagels with salmon, cream cheese, and onions, or just cream cheese if you're keeping it simple. Cheeseburgers and hot dogs now come in both classic and vegetarian options, with frozen or microwavable versions as well, which honestly makes sense. Sometimes you want a proper BBQ hot dog, and sometimes you just want the sad microwave one at 2 a.m. Comfort food also got a solid upgrade. Fries, poutine, hamburger steak, classic or veggie, and even filet mignon with asparagus, and grapes and dauphinoise if you want your para to feel a little bougie on a weeknight. The part I'm most excited about are the pasta and noodle dishes: Alfredo, carbonara, mushroom, pesto, tomato, zaru soba, and cup ramen. I can honestly eat pasta every day and be happy. Alfredo on Monday, pesto on Tuesday, maybe carbonara if I'm feeling fancy. It's perfect, really. Rice dishes also made it in: instant rice, fried rice, vegetarian fried rice, jollof rice, paella, and risottos like mushroom and scallops. That's already more variety than what I usually cook in real life. Breakfast and desserts round things out with pancakes, Japanese fluffy pancakes, and heart-shaped waffles. I screamed when I saw the waffles. There are baked goods like muffins, banana, chocolate, blueberry, and chocolate chip, and croissants. And for cakes, carrot, chocolate, vanilla with sprinkles, cheesecake, and red berry cheesecake. Basically, your Paris sweet tooth is set. The devs did mention the menu is pretty Western-centric right now, but the plan is to expand with more international dishes down the line, which I think will be really fun to see. The team dropped some huge news during the first quarter of the year. Paralives is officially set to release in 2025. Along with that announcement, we got a full 7-minute gameplay video that ties together so many of the systems I've talked about earlier. You follow a para named Anissa as she moves into her new place, and through her you see a lot of these features in action. Personalities show up here, shaping how your para behaves and what they're good or bad at. You can see her personality stats being selected: above average in mind and charisma, exceptional at creativity, and with the disadvantage in physique. Anissa has a serious vibe, which influences how she interacts with others, and her social perk makes her particularly good at taking care of others. On top of that, she has the talent of music, which gives her a boost in related skills. You even get a glimpse of lifestyles, the system guiding autonomous actions with plans to expand it further in the future. Relationship labels also pop up, giving you more than just a bland friend or acquaintance tag. Instead, the game gives them custom labels that better describe how two parafolk actually see each other. Togetherness makes a big appearance too. Instead of micromanaging one-on-one chats, you can group up multiple parafolk and have them interact at the same time, and they'll stick together naturally. It feels so much more organic, especially when you add in together cards. Those moments where you can pick from different conversation outcomes that shift relationships in unique ways. Jobs and careers are also shown off through Anissa. The coolest part to me is how she simply walks into town and applies for a job through a now hiring sign, making it feel so immersive. Later in the video, we even see her getting offered job upgrades at the end of a workday, like gaining expertise that carries over if she switches jobs, or earning extras that provide unique perks beyond money. This flexible system really opens up storytelling possibilities while keeping career progression engaging. And of course, you see Anissa's needs and wants on full display. The classic take care of your needs loop is there, but wants add that extra layer of personality by pushing her towards certain actions or goals. It gives a nice balance between player control and character autonomy. On top of that, we even get to see a personality upgrade in action. This shows how your para can grow over time, not just through careers or skills, but by evolving their actual personality traits. It makes Anissa feel less like a static character and more like someone changing changing and maturing as her life unfolds. The devs did confirm that some big features like cars, bikes, pets, seasons, and pools won't be there at launch, but honestly, with how much depth is already packed into what they showed, early access still looks like it's going to have a solid foundation. And the best part, they made it clear Paralives will never have paid DLC. Every new feature down the line will come as a free update, which feels like such a rare promise in gaming today. It's pretty hard to top a 7-minute gameplay reveal, but these new animation showcases are seriously impressive in their own right. On the romantic side, we get everything from a happy celebration after a successful marriage proposal to an awkward fail proposal and even a passionate kiss fail moment. Then there's exercise, jogging on the treadmill, using the bench press, and even variations of low, medium, or high skill levels. It's little details like these that make everyday interactions feel real. The team started by creating the animations in Blender, which is basically a tool for making 3D characters move. They watched lots of real-life reference videos, like people jogging or giving hugs to make sure the movements felt realistic. Once the animations were ready, they put them into the game itself and tested them, tweaking anything that looked off so that every action feels smooth and natural when you play. One really cool touch is how the animations adapt to a character's height, so whether your para is tall, short, or somewhere in between, things like arm placement during hugs or lifting objects always look right. Fires, a classic feature in live sims, make their return in Paralives. A cooking mishap can ignite a blaze in your kitchen, and if it's not handled quickly, the fire can spread to other objects. It's a simple mechanic but adds the same tense, unpredictable moments longtime sim players know and love. Parafolk aren't just passive observers either. When a fire breaks out, they can panic or even flee with animations in place to make their reactions feel realistic. You'll see them running, gesturing, or reacting to danger in ways that match the intensity of the situation. And of course, fire alarms are there to help, emitting loud, unmistakable beeps that alert everyone to the hazard. Putting out fires is an interactive process. Parafolk can extinguish fires on objects and potentially even help other parafolk in danger. The team is planning to expand this further with features like additional ways fires can start, such as while repairing certain items, more detailed panic animations, and improvements to firefighters so they can save both furniture and residents more effectively. There are even plans to add rescue actions, letting parafolk carry others to safety during emergencies. It's a system that really emphasizes both realism and emergent gameplay, turning a simple kitchen mishap into a high-stakes scenario that tests your planning and quick thinking. While we've already seen gameplay and animations in action, the team is also putting a lot of thought into everyday interactions like cleaning and repairs. Parafolk can clean vertical surfaces even while crouching, mop floors, and handle plumbing or electronic repairs. These animations are carefully designed so that tools like mops scale with the parafolk's height, making everything feel consistent for characters of all sizes. Kids can help with cleaning chores, though they don't take part in repairs. The team's focus on reusable animations allows them to cover many objects and situations with a single animation, making development more efficient while ensuring each interaction still feels realistic and fits naturally with different object placements or character sizes. For example, bathtubs have plumbing in different spots, but the repair animations are designed to work across all the variations. Looking ahead, the team is considering expanding vertical cleaning to include windows and mirrors, adding dynamic effects like flickering lights during electronic repairs, and even showing water leaks during plumbing maintenance, all while parafolk react realistically. This approach balances efficiency with immersion, letting your characters perform tasks without requiring unique animations for every single scenario. Even after seeing all the gameplay and other animations, the team keeps adding new life to the world with animations for dancing, babies, and pregnancy. Dance animations come in 3 skill levels: low, medium, and high, each with a base loop plus a variation to keep things from feeling repetitive. These casual dances are designed to fit a wide range of situations like parties or clubs and give your parafolk more personality and motion. Babies now have their own animations, from laying idle to grabbing their feet, bringing a lot of charm to little moments. And for the first time, we see a pregnant para idle animation, hinting at future family dynamics and interactions. Looking ahead, the team is thinking about adding more dance styles: swing, hip-hop, belly dance, jazz, country, and even duo dances. Duo dances will be tricky because of the height customization system, which means matching poses between 2 parafolk of different heights requires careful adjustment. But if they pull it off, it could create some really fun and dynamic social moments. The team continues to expand on baby interactions, adding a ton of essential animations that bring these tiny parafolk to life. Some of the confirmed animations include playing with a rattle, being picked up from the floor, placed in a crib, changed, crying, bottle feeding, breastfeeding, burping, and being rocked in arms. There are even variations like babies laying in arms or playing in arms, which adds subtle differences to make interactions feel more natural and less repetitive. On the technical side, an adult para can now be anchored to a baby, a feature added by Jeremiah, allowing characters to hold babies realistically rather than treating them like generic objects. To avoid clipping issues, when babies wear clothing, the team intentionally leaves a small space between the adult's hands and the baby, preventing overlapping meshes without needing endless alternate animations for every outfit. The baby animations are being built in layers, first the essential core interactions, holding, feeding, playing, and changing, then later expanded with aesthetic variations and additional animations. Once the essential set is polished, the team plans to start on toddler animations, gradually expanding life stages. They also intend to add complementary effects like subtle blur when changing a baby to enhance the visual storytelling. Hackweek plays a role here as well. It's a special development period where the team experiments with small, charming animations, even if they aren't critical to gameplay. Examples include stepping on something, reacting to back pain, or checking nails. Integrating Hackweek animations alongside the baby interactions shows how the team uses these experimental developments to make everyday life feel more dynamic. Toddler interactions introduce the next life stage of Parafolk. The animation showcased cover everything from basic standing idols with 3 variations to keep things from feeling repetitive to 4 interactions like sitting, reading a book, or getting up. Emotional moments are included, such as crying. Bedtime animations are also featured, including getting in bed, sleeping, and getting out, while potty interactions cover the full process from start to finish. Changing and holding animations are in place as well, with toddlers being held idle or while being changed. There's even a plan to add a blur effect later to the changing toddler animation to make things visually smoother. Alice and Lena planned out the entire list of toddler animations needed for early access, prioritizing essential animations for core social interactions and needs first. Many of the animations shown are still being refined. Beds will eventually have sheets, and other tweaks like idle variations are being polished. The team's approach is methodical, focused on the essentials, combine social interactions with need-based gameplay, and refine animations over time. With programmers now integrating more animations into live mode, the team can see them in action and ensure they feel natural in actual gameplay. After toddlers, the focus will shift to kids, who will have a wider range of interactions, continuing the progression of life stages in a structured and thoughtful way. The toddler life stage keeps growing with a big batch of new interactions. This showcase covers everything from picking up toddlers off the floor to placing them in a high chair where they can sit idle, eat, make a mess, or even refuse their food. Emotional moments continue with crying in the high chair, throwing tantrums, or being hugged or tickled by an adult para. Bath time is included, with animations for putting toddlers in the bath, washing them, and picking them up afterward. They can even watch TV from the floor, dance, and as a fun bonus, go up and down stairs. Showing off the Locomotion on stair system has been adapted for toddlers. The team notes that some of these animations are still a work in progress and might change as they refine timing, poses, or interaction states. Visual effects for bath interactions like water and bubbles are planned to be added later this year once the core animations are stable. These interactions are more complex than previous life stages because toddlers interact with so many objects, high chairs, baths, food, and TVs, all of which require different animation states. The bonus stair animations also highlight how some systems like walking on stairs are being designed to be reusable across life stages. The team considers this set of animations the final major push for toddlers for now, and after these are solid, the focus will shift to kids, who will have a wider range of interactions and gameplay possibilities. Returning back to the basics, Paralives Studio revealed how they test the game and ensure everything works smoothly, which gives a behind-the-scenes look at how robust the systems are. The Q&A process starts with Charlotte creating detailed checklists for each feature, and Alex and Jeremiah assign specific features to test, and Charlotte goes through the checklist to verify if each point succeeds or fails. Bugs discovered through this process are logged carefully. By the time of the post, 778 bugs had been recorded, and 537 of those were already fixed. Even small or odd bugs get tracked, which helps make the game feel polished and reliable. Pathfinding is another core system that gets attention. For example, babies aren't allowed to use stairs, which is handled automatically by the system. There's a plan in the future to let parent parafolk carry babies upstairs, but that's still in the works. The system also supports life stage specific rules, which adds extra complexity to making sure everyone moves logically around the world. Another subtle but important feature is the chair and item slot system. When placing a chair at a table or an item on a counter, you can rotate and position it freely. Tables can hold any number of chair slots, and chairs will follow the table if it's moved in build mode. Sitting animations complement this, letting parafolk sit from different sides of the chair enter and exit, which adds realism but also increases the number of animation states the team has to support. Future ideas include even more control over pathfinding, like enabling or disabling certain paths, think pools or locked doors. The team's methodical approach, documentation review, and careful logging ensures each feature is consistent, repeatable, and robust before it's released. It's a great example of how much care goes into making sure the world runs smoothly, even down to the small details like sitting at a table. The latest animation showcase revealed a bunch of new emotion animations for Parafolk, covering moods like happy, bored, disgusted, embarrassed, stressed, sad, and angry. Each emotion now has multiple variations, so your characters can express themselves without feeling repetitive. What's really exciting about this post are future plans aim to make emotions even more readable, with ideas like color-coded indicators or subtle 2D effects, so you can instantly tell how your Parafolk is feeling at a glance. And while the list of emotions and variations is still a work in progress, it's already clear how the system will integrate with autonomy and social interactions, helping characters respond dynamically to situations and each other. One of the more interesting updates in live mode is how Parafolk can now interact in more complex and sometimes even negative ways. Some together cards now have multiple variants, which means your Parafolk can express different intentions through a single card. For example, making an ironic compliment could leave other Parafolk feeling embarrassed, angry, or sad, depending on the context. This isn't just for fun. Players can actively choose to turn characters into enemies. Once two Parafolk have the enemy label, it unlocks additional together cards and special interactions that reflect this tension, showing that negative relationships are just as meaningful as positive ones in shaping social dynamics. Wants are also evolving. Each Parafolk can now have desires influenced by their personality, relationships, and current emotions. This can range from fitness goals like doing 50 push-ups if they have the fitness talent, to leveling up multiple skills with the jack of all trades talent, or even very specific personal goals like getting a work upgrade or buying a fridge if they just moved in. Romantic and social wants also factor in, such as deepening a relationship or becoming friends with a newly met neighbor. This variety ensures each Parafolk feels unique and gives players many ways to influence or watch their daily lives unfold. Completing wants now feeds directly into personality growth. Parafolk earn personality points for achieving their goals, allowing them to level up and evolve across multiple traits. Starting with their base personality traits from the Paramaker, evolution progresses through vibe traits, social perks, talent traits, and extra stat points over 12 levels. This structured progression gives each Parafolk a sense of individuality, letting you customize how they grow over time while also reflecting how their experiences and choices shape them. The team's attention to negative interactions really stand out here. By giving players tools to explore rivalry, tension, and conflict, the social system feels more nuanced and dynamic. Paired with the wide variety of wants and personality evolutions, it ensures that every interaction, whether friendly or hostile, matters. Autonomy is how Parafolk act when you're not directly controlling them, giving the world a sense of activity and realism while still letting you stay in charge. The system is divided into different types: idle, force, chained, town, and story progression, so the team can tackle each layer step by step. Idle autonomy kicks in when a para has nothing to do for around 5 to 10 in-game minutes. The system scans for available objects that aren't blocked or in use, then scores possible actions based on the para's identity, skills, traits, personality, and a bit of randomness. For example, a skilled pianist might choose to play the piano, a neat para might clean up dirty objects, and a sad para could cry in the bathroom. The randomness ensures that even the same para won't always act the same way, avoiding repetitive robotic behavior. Forced autonomy handles actions that are automatically queued. This system is smart enough to cancel interactions if they clash with urgent needs. For instance, a para won't keep playing the piano if they're exhausted. In group interactions, forced autonomy can also make a para leave or refuse to participate if relationship or need conditions aren't met. Chained autonomy creates automatic follow-up actions tied to previous interactions. A neat para washing their hands after using the toilet is a simple example, but these small details help Parafolk feel consistent and believable in their habits. Town autonomy governs NPCs and ensures the game world feels populated and active. NPCs are placed in logical or interesting locations throughout the day, giving the impression of a living, breathing town. This requires a highly optimized system to handle many characters at once without affecting performance. Story progression, which is planned to launch during early access, will take autonomy even further. It will allow NPCs to change jobs, start families, move houses, and form relationships over time, making the world feel dynamic even without direct player input. Players have control control over how Autonomy works through Autonomy settings. Currently, it affects household Parafolk only, and you can toggle it for selected characters or all other household members separately. Vibe personality traits are getting their own set of animations, giving Parafolks a way to express who they are even when they're just standing around. In the showcase, we see different vibes in action: energetic, serious, overjoyed, and gloomy, each with multiple animation variants. These animations tie directly into character creation in the Paramaker, where you select stats, a social trait, a talent trait, and a vibe trait. The vibe traits determine which idle animation your Parafolk displays when they aren't actively doing something or before the autonomy system kicks in. And if they're feeling a strong emotion like being very angry, the emotion-specific animation temporarily takes over, cycling through its own variations to make reactions feel natural. By this point in the timeline, we already know Paralives is gearing up for early access, but seeing the release date trailer was still a hype moment. It's one of those "okay, this is actually happening" milestones that makes everything we've been following click into place. We've already seen how the devs have been building core systems from the ground up: personality traits, autonomy, relationships, and careers. What's exciting here is that all of that isn't just a theory anymore. It's confirmed to be a part of the early access launch. Live mode at launch is designed to give a fully playable living world. You'll see Parafolk acting according to their personalities and goals, making decisions when you're not directly controlling them, and interacting with each other in ways that feel meaningful. Together cards, careers, household tasks, and life stage interactions are all there, so the depth we've been following actually translate into gameplay you can experience from day one. What's especially nice is that the devs focused on completing the features they've been showing off rather than introducing too many new ideas that might feel unfinished. That means what's in early access isn't just a slice of what the game might be, it's a strong foundation that you can explore, experiment with, and see grow over time. With early access on the horizon, the team turned their attention to spicing up conversations, making sure every interaction between Parafolks has the right animations to feel natural. In the showcase, we see animations like flirt success, flirt fail, talk mean, talk neutral, and talk friendly, as well as variations for listening, sharing tips, and interacting with toddlers or babies. There are even animations for adults, crouching to talk to a toddler, picking them up, or holding a baby while chatting, showing just how thorough the team has been. A big part of this push was tying animations directly to Together cards. The team brainstormed which missing animations to prioritize so that every planned card has a matching visual, whether it's one-on-one conversation or a group interaction. Including toddlers and babies required extra attention for scale, positioning, and triggers, making sure even the youngest Parafolk express themselves appropriately. Alice has already begun testing which adult animations can be reused for this life stage and which will need to be created from scratch. This planning helps reduce workload while keeping movements natural and consistent across ages. This might be the last public reveal I'll cover in this video, but there's still so much that remains private. Might be interesting to continue the live mode deep dive as we continue through early access. Looking back from 2019 to 2025, it's remarkable to see how Paralives Live Mode has grown from early prototypes into a rich, dynamic world. What began as simple systems for basic interactions has become a layered framework where Parafolk act, react, and evolve in ways that feel meaningful and alive. Over the years, the team carefully built personality systems, talents, vibes, autonomy types, and together cards, turning simple actions into emergent stories. Pathfinding, needs, wants, and life stage interactions from babies and toddlers to adults ensure every moment feels consistent, reactive, and full of depth. Animations for sitting, climbing stairs, dancing, exercising, or expressing emotions were refined to feel natural and seamless. Life mode isn't just a collection of features, it's a mode for player-driven stories, careers and job progression, personality growth through talents, vibes, and social perks, evolving relationships with friends or rivals, daily routines, and even needs and wants all come together, letting the world respond not just to player input, but to the Parafolk's own autonomous choices. With this video, we followed the evolution of live mode from 2019 to 2025, building on the first part of this mini-series that dug into the Parafolk visual timeline. Together, these videos show how Paralives grew from early concepts into characters and systems that actually feel expressive and reactive. The story isn't done yet. In the final part of this mini-series, we're diving into build mode, how the team designed the homes, neighborhoods, furniture, and all the little details that make a house feel lived in. From the people to the gameplay to the spaces they live in, we'll see how all the pieces of Paralives fit together to create a fully playable, living world. Ironically, the final chapter brings us back to where it all began, build mode. Funny to think, it started with a single window being resized. Now we've traced all the systems that grew from the first glimpse, and now we're going back to the origins of Paralives.